Dottie, we have, this is the billion-dollar question. I
Yeah,
love this
actually,
question.
I got that today.
Really?
Yeah, it was inboxed to me today. I thought it was quite interesting.
It's a very interesting question. Here it is. How hard do you think interracial dating is in South Africa? Any advice chatting to white girls? I mean, in SA, you can't even say hi to a white girl. When I was in the States, white girls asked me out so much, I thought it was a trap. Wow. Well, there it is,
Well,
Dottie.
there it is. Um, so
Yeah.
yeah, this is such tricky ground because it's always likely to offend someone. But I think so. Let's just quickly talk about whether interracial dating in South Africa is different to anywhere else. And I think I don't know where you were in the US, but I'm assuming you were on the coast because if you were anywhere in Middle America, you'd be getting the same stuff as you'd be getting in freaking Orania up the coast over here.
Hmm.
Um, so I think maybe in South Africa, where it becomes a little bit more nuanced, obviously, is our history and a lot of cultural differences. If your partner comes from very different cultural backgrounds, and so that makes it trickier because there's usually sort of traditions that you need to, if you want to get really serious with someone, there are traditions that you need to learn about, family systems and hierarchies that you need to be aware of. So I think in that case, it gets quite different. When it comes to like how do you talk to white girls, you know what, you talk to white girls exactly the same way you talk to black girls and Indian girls and Chinese girls, with respect, being open and honest, and being a cool dude. Um, and I think, where we are now, if someone is going to approach you in a shitty way or raise their eyebrow or treat you badly because you're approaching them for a date, no matter what their color, you don't want to be with that person anyway. So you
Yeah.
do exactly the same thing you would with every other person or every other woman, and you judge their reaction to that as a yay or nay. It's really that simple. I'd like to say there's no real difference because in theory there isn't a difference, but I think that it's the same as whether you're in the States on the coast or in Middle America. It's the same here as if you're doing this, if you're asking across the color lines, if you're asking it in a place that's incredibly conservative and a place that's a little bit more open-minded. Fact is, you're going to get shit somewhere because people are douchebags a lot of the time.
Well, listen, you brought up words there that I think are very, very important. We still are a very conservative society. And
Right.
if you sit there and think about it, we're basically only 20 years old,
Mm.
regardless of what anybody else says. And I've seen people, mixed couples, mixed dating or whatever, no issue whatsoever. But
Yeah.
we've got a guy who sits here and he says, listen, it's pretty tough. My flatmate dates across racial divides all the time, gets flack on so many fronts. And the
Yeah.
problem is that because there is the conservative society that we have,
Yeah.
and people are still reluctant to just accept. They might sort of accept it, but they'll accept it with reserve. But the
Right.
other thing is as well, and I think going back to his question, how do I talk to white girls or etc. Also, it's the same as where transformation doesn't necessarily mean that it's always going to work. And you
Right.
can't now sit there and go into a school and say, everyone now must start playing rugby or cricket because maybe they don't want to and it's not
Right.
really for them. So there are, in my opinion, there are black guys who try and meet up with white girls, and white girls are just not interested purely because they're just not interested. Doesn't
Right.
matter on your color. But then you get other people who sit there and go, well, now you're being racist, or what's wrong with me?
Right. It's a conversation that I've had quite often. I find it difficult to navigate this conversation because
It's a
I
tough one.
don't think it's like the same thing when it comes to weight. Okay, and I know it's different with race and stuff, but if you like women with big boobs or women like men who are really tall, or you like a particular way that someone looks, their features, you like finer features, you like bulkier features, it just does it for you. Certain skin color just does something erotic to you that you enjoy. I think we need to sometimes just moderate what we think is racism and what is maybe just, I'm not really into like people who are really
Yeah.
too skinny or overweight or are white or Chinese or black or I think it's tricky topics, but I just think
Yeah.
if you get a response, you need to judge individually whether that is someone being a racist fart, in which case you want nothing to do with them, or it's just like, I actually prefer like tall, skinny white boys with pale hair, with blonde hair and blue eyes. And I know lots of beautiful black women who love nerdy, skinny white men. I don't get the appeal there, but there you go. People just have their flavors. And the one word that I've really enjoyed for interracial dating is swirling.
Swirling, what does that
Yeah,
mean?
like the ice cream. You know, when you
Oh,
take
yes.
and then you mix the chocolate and the vanilla.
Ah,
Yeah, swirling. Um, so yeah, some people are just not going to be into it, and
yes.
I think it's an individual basis, and you'll know when someone is being racist, and if someone's just like I'm just not into you, dude.
And also,
Like sometimes it doesn't matter what color you are, I'm just not into you. That's just
exactly. I think that this is it. There are some people who you can't take it too much to heart. Of course, you're going to take it personally if you get rejected, but don't try and overanalyze something if you get rejected because you are of a different race.
right.
Exactly, because some people might not want to offend you by saying, actually, you know what, I don't want to date a black guy or I don't want to date a black girl.
Yeah.
That's
Or a
it's
white girl or a
exactly
white guy.
exactly. It's their own choice and their own prerogative. So
Yeah.
try and be adult about it. I think that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, and sniff out the douchebags when they come your way and steer clear. But I think ultimately, how you treat people isn't
Yeah,
about their skin color. So I can say like, well, it's you speak to a woman the way you would across the board. It doesn't
exactly.
matter what color they are.
Yeah.
So
And 9 times out of 10, guys, they will reject you regardless.
yeah, so I'm not
So
sure.
get used to it.
I think if you're going to an NG Kerk and you're asking the Dermany's daughter if she wants to hang, I think there are cultural biases there that you need to be aware of
Yeah,
because that's just shitty life and that's just our shitty past. And so you make it better by treating everyone the same, whether they're white or black. And the question is, how would you treat a black girl that you're going to ask out, or a Chinese girl,
exactly.
or an Indian girl? You're going to speak to them the same way because
And
you're
it,
speaking your language.
exactly. And if you get rejected, then you must feel the same way as well.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a hell of an interesting topic.
It's tricky, because I think the black women that I speak to that have white guys that are after them will say that they're often concerned about and I never get this word right, the fetishization of skin color. So that white boys are going out with them because they're black, not because they like the person or not because they're interested in the person. And I think that, as we evolve and become better humans, I think it's always good to keep coming back to the question of why you find someone attractive, what is it about them, and to ask yourself those questions all the time. It doesn't matter what color you are if you're dating on the same race as well. So you become a little bit more aware of where your tick marks lie and why they're there, and that you can check yourself before you wreck yourself or something.
Exactly. Spot on. It's a nice one. A very interesting discussion today, Dottie, and you've handled it just with meticulous ease.
Always so tricky. Because there's always someone that's going to be pissed off about something. It doesn't matter.
Yes. You have a beautiful day, Dottie.
Okay, guys.
Take it easy. Ciao, ciao.
Bye, Dottie.
Bye.
Dottie.
There's our fabulous Dorothy Black every Wednesday right here. That is a tough question, eh?
Very difficult.
It's so difficult to get. I don't know if there is a correct answer, but one can only just give a little bit of advice.
GearsOnBalls.co.za with Sasha Martinengo and Daisy Fensham. Weekdays 1 p.m. to 3 p.m.